Um, G'day guys, today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on the bow and arrow cast. A few people have commented in my videos about how far I can get the fly out there. When I'm doing this particular cast, I can usually get the fly about 7 or 8 metres, maybe a little bit more with an extension onto that. And it pretty much covers me for any small to medium river, or here on the Golden backwaters as well. The bow and arrow cast is such a great cast because not only is it great when there's a lot of vegetation around, you can't get a false cast in. It's really accurate, and also it doesn't spook the fish as much because you don't need to do a forward and backwards cast. It's just holding the fly out there, or holding the rod out there and shooting the fly out. So I use it quite a lot, even when I don't need to. I'll just take you through the setup to begin with. So I've got a 9-foot 5-weight rod. 9 foot, that's going to get you enough distance. That's going to get you that 7 or 8 metres. If you drop down and get a 7-foot 8-wood rod, you're going to sacrifice a fair amount of distance. And a 5-weight rod, that's going to have enough strength and power to really shoot that line out there. If you go with a 2 or a 3-weight, it can be pretty hard to do that, especially if you're using like a hopper style fly, a larger fly. I don't find it's quite as good. The presentation's not quite as great. I've also just got a 9-foot tippet on here. I don't need to really go super long, or I should say leader. I don't need to go a super long leader because I'm going to really hit that window where the fish is looking at the fly, so I don't need to worry about spooking it and having such a long leader to prevent that from happening. First rule when doing the bow and arrow cast is you need to hold your rod upside down. That's because it's the way the rod is designed to flex. The first time a person tried to show me the bow and arrow cast, he held up the other way, he pulled it back and snapped my rod in half. So if you ever come across a tutorial by the name of Bernie, don't watch it. He was on the bust of my rod. So first of all, hold the rod upside down. You might need to trap the line if you've got your drag set really fine, so you don't keep pulling the line out, but that's enough for me. Now, a lot of people say with the bow and arrow cast, just hold the line and pull it back. That'll get you a couple of metres. We want to try to increase that even further. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out enough line so that my nail knot comes down to pretty much where the handle is on my rod. Now there's a couple of really important tips to consider when doing this. Here we go, there's my nail knot right here, and I'm going to strip it all the way down to so it's almost in line with the handle. So when I pull it back, you can see that I'm going to get the rod length, which is 9 foot, plus that 9 foot of the fly line here, plus the 9 foot of my tippet. So that's going to get me about 27 feet, plus the reach of my arm. That's going to get me that 7 or 8 metres, maybe even a little bit more if I do a roll cast on top of that as well. That's going to get me enough. Now when you are holding the fly line, wherever you hold that fly line, if I draw a line perpendicular down to my rod arrow, that means that everything in front of this is going to create the energy or the force to cast this particular fly. If I hold it too high up here, I'm only going to use the tip section of my rod to create that force, and it's going to make a really messy, ugly cast on there. So you really want to hold it almost down where the handle is. Don't hold it too far back, otherwise you need to have the fly right behind you and it's going to come up and hook you in the back of the shirt or on your net or on your tackle box or somewhere like that. So that's where I like to hold the fly, roughly in line where the handle is. Now if I just cast this out, I've got all this fly line right on the floor here. You know that's going to end up tangling up in all the grass and whatever it is there. So what I do is then, with the hand that I'm holding my rod in, I also grip the fly line, and I'm going to make 1, I reckon 2 loops. I can do 3 loops. Now here's the really important thing. You can see where my loops are here. Down below is the fly. That fly must hang below those loops. If it doesn't, when you let go of the fly line, it's going to create a wind knot, and when you hook that fish, it's going to snap your line. It took me a couple of seasons to work that one out. So basically, make a couple of loops, take the pinch, hold it out, and that's going to get you around about 7 or 8 metres in the cast. Now if the current's pretty slow like it is here or still, you can then do a bow and arrow roll cast and get another couple of metres. So I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to once again load up my line. Here we go. Cast it out. Strip a little bit more line out. Pull it down, reach up, get some fly line, and I can flick it out further. Might be able to do that another time. and that's going to get me about 10, 12 metres if I'm lucky. So that's how you do the bow and arrow cast. It's a really good cast to have in your kit. You can practice it at home, living room, watching TV. It's one of those casts that you can perfect really easily at home. You don't have to be on the river. Hopefully you find it useful, and if you've got any questions, just put them in the comments. Thanks.